If you think Nicaragua is all about volcanoes and coffee plantations, think again. Because between those smoking peaks and emerald jungles, this country hides one of the most explosive bird shows on Earth. Here, eagles wear crowns, hummingbirds sparkle like living jewels, and ducks paint the crater lakes with every color you didn't know existed. It's not chaos, it's choreography, and somehow nature got the lighting just right. More than 700 bird species call Nicaragua home. That's more than the entire United States east of the Mississippi. From the mighty harpy eagle stalking the canopy to the neon green mango hummingbird hovering like a gemstone on caffeine, this land is pure visual adrenaline. But beauty here isn't delicate, it's volcanic. It burns, bursts, and sings louder than the jungle itself. So let's dive deep into Nicaragua's wild skies, where every wing tells a story of survival, color, and chaos. And here's the question. If a country could be defined by its birds, would Nicaragua be known for power, grace, or pure, unfiltered fire? So, you think lions are the kings of the jungle? Cute! Because in Nicaragua, that crown belongs to something with feathers, claws, and a glare that could stop your heart mid-beat. The harpy eagle. This bird isn't just big, it's monstrous. Standing over 3 feet tall with a wingspan longer than a Harley-Davidson, the harpy eagle doesn't soar like other birds. It dominates the canopy, and those legs, thicker than a human wrist, ending in claws longer than grizzly bear claws. You don't mess with that. Its hunting style is pure stealth. It glides silently through the dense rainforest, snatching monkeys, sloths, even iguanas right off the trees. Gone before they even know what happened. It's not a chase. It's an ambush. A silent lightning strike wearing feathers. Here's a fun fact. When a harpy eagle flies, its wings are too wide for the thick jungle, so it folds them slightly, like a professional parkour artist slipping through the trees. That's not instinct. That's engineering. And the eyes? Sharp enough to spot movement from more than 200 yards away. Imagine a sniper, but with wings and zero mercy. They mate for life, too. Because honestly, who's going to argue with a harpy eagle spouse? They raise a single chick every 2 years, teaching it to hunt with precision and patience. Talk about slow parenting. But hey, when your kid's born terrifying, you can take your time. Now here's a thought. Is the harpy eagle nature's perfect predator or just an overachiever with anger issues? Because everything about it screams power. From the crown-like crest on its head to that stare that says, I was here before you, and I'll be here after. Most people dream of seeing one in the wild, but if you actually do, it's probably already seen you first. So what do you think? King of the jungle, or the jungle's own personal nightmare? Either way, the harpy eagle doesn't need your approval, just your silence. If the harpy eagle rules the jungle, then the swallow-tailed kite owns the sky. Think of it as the eagle's elegant cousin. Same drama, but with better choreography and zero need to scream about it. You don't watch this bird, you witness it. Pure black and white, slender as smoke, with a tail split like a painter's brush. It moves through the air so smoothly, you'd swear someone slowed down the footage. Even gravity just sits there, watching, taking notes. While other raptors flap and fuss, the kite simply glides, circling above the Nicaraguan forest like a silver blade. It hunts on the wing, plucking insects, snakes, or lizards mid-flight, barely twitching a feather. Precision, elegance, arrogance, all in one silent motion. Here's a fun fact. The swallow-tailed kite spends nearly its entire life in the air. It eats, drinks, and even sleeps while gliding. That's right, this bird literally naps in motion. Meanwhile, humans can't walk and text without disaster. Every spring, these sky dancers return from South America, filling Nicaragua's volcanic skies with acrobatic flocks. You'll see them slicing through clouds in perfect formation. No engine, no effort, no noise. Just grace turned into physics. They don't land often, but when they do, it's only to nest high in the tallest pines. Their homes sway in the wind, yet somehow the chicks sleep soundly. Because when your parents are basically superheroes, what's a little turbulence? So what do you think? Is the swallow-tailed kite nature's most perfect flyer? Or just a show-off who refuses to walk like the rest of us? Because let's be honest, if flying were fashion, this bird would be walking the runway in slow motion, and the rest of us would still be stuck in coach class. The swallow-tailed kite, the proof that not all power roars. Some of it just glides quietly above you, looking down, smiling, and saying, "Try keeping up." All right, time to slow things down and turn the saturation all the way up. Meet the green-crowned brilliant, a bird so shiny it makes jewelry stores look underdressed. You think color correction is a post-production trick? Nope. This hummingbird does it naturally. Every second, every feather. When sunlight hits its plumage, the green crown flashes like a disco ball in the jungle. It's part bird, part gemstone, and 100% overachiever. Found in the misty highlands of Nicaragua's volcanic forests, the green-crowned brilliant lives where the air itself sparkles. Among orchids, mossy branches, and waterfalls that look like fantasy sets. And yet, this little bird rules that world with a wing beat faster than the human eye can follow. 50, 60 times per second. That's not flight. That's a blur with attitude. Here's a fun fact. The brilliant's heart beats over 1,200 times a minute. That's faster than a drum solo at a rock concert. It eats constantly, because if it stops, it could literally starve within hours. Life in turbo mode comes with a price tag. They guard their favorite flowers like caffeine-fueled bodyguards, chasing off anything that dares sip their nectar. Even bigger birds get the message. This is my bar, my drink, my buzz. But despite the constant speed and chaos, there's something oddly poetic about them. Hovering motionless for a heartbeat, wings invisible, body glowing, as if time itself paused to admire. So what do you think? Is the green-crowned brilliant the crown jewel of Nicaragua's forests, or just a sugar addict with great lighting? Because one thing's for sure, it doesn't do subtle. The green-crowned brilliant isn't trying to impress anyone. It just is. Tiny, furious, and beautiful enough to make the jungle stop and stare. And maybe that's the secret of the rainforest. The louder you shine, the less you have to shout. If the green-crowned brilliant was the jewel of the jungle, then the green-breasted mango is the jungle's fashion icon. Bold, flashy, and totally aware of how good it looks. This bird doesn't fly, it flaunts. A metallic green body, shimmering blue throat, and that signature magenta stripe running right down its chest like nature's version of designer branding. Every time the light hits it, it glows. Part hummingbird, part neon sign that says, "Look at me." Found across Nicaragua's lowland forests and volcanic slopes, the green-breasted mango is impossible to ignore. While most hummingbirds hover politely at flowers, this one shows up like it owns the place, chasing others away just because it can. Power in miniature, and it knows it. Here's a fun fact. Hummingbirds burn energy faster than any other warm-blooded animal on Earth, and the mango ranks near the top. Its heart can hit over 1,200 beats per minute, and it visits more than 1,500 flowers a day, basically running an all-you-can-eat nectar marathon before lunch. And just like the best performers, it knows its lighting. Its feathers refract sunlight differently depending on angle. A natural optical illusion that shifts color with every movement. No filters, no editing, no AI, just pure photonic showmanship. But beneath that glamour is a fighter. Males guard feeding territories like nightclub bouncers, charging at trespassers, buzzing, clicking, and flashing their throat patches in mid-air duels. It's aggressive, ridiculous, and, honestly, kind of impressive. So what do you think? Is the green-breasted mango nature's most beautiful narcissist, or just a little bird living its best life? Because if confidence had wings, it would look exactly like this. The green-breasted mango doesn't beg for attention, it demands it, with color, speed, and a little attitude to spare. And maybe that's the lesson. You don't have to be the biggest to stand out. You just have to shine like you mean it. If the green-breasted mango is a rock star, Then the brown violet ear is that quiet artist who shows up to the concert, sings one hauntingly beautiful song, and disappears before the crowd even blinks. This hummingbird may not wear the flashiest outfit in the jungle, but what it lacks in neon, it makes up for in mystery. Soft bronze feathers, a velvety glow, and a violet patch behind the ear that flashes like a secret you weren't supposed to see. You'll find it perched in the misty highlands of Nicaragua, where volcano slopes melt into cloud forest. It's not loud, not aggressive, just present. It sits on a mossy branch, watching the world spin too fast, like it knows something we don't. But don't let that zen vibe fool you. This bird has lungs. Its call, a sharp metallic seep, cuts through the forest air like static electricity. It's how it marks its turf. Every other hummingbird gets the message. Peaceful doesn't mean pushover. Here's a fun fact. That purple shimmer on its ear patch? It's structural color, created not by pigment, but by microscopic layers that bend light like a prism. Basically, this bird hacks physics for style. And when sunlight hits just right, that subtle purple glow turns electric. A flash so sudden it feels alive. For a second, the forest isn't green or brown anymore. It's pure magic. So what do you think? The brown violetear, an underrated masterpiece? Or just the introvert of the hummingbird world who refuses to play by the shine or die rule? Because maybe in a jungle full of performers, the bravest thing you can do is whisper. It doesn't dazzle, it hums. It doesn't demand, it invites. And in that silence, it wins. The brown violetear. Proof that mystery can be just as brilliant as color if you know how to look for it. If the brown violetear was quiet elegance, this one's pure chaos in miniature. Meet the black-crested coquette, a bird so small it looks like someone accidentally shrunk a punk rocker and gave him wings. Barely 3 inches long, this hummingbird weighs less than a paperclip, but has the confidence of a bald eagle wearing sunglasses. With its wild black crest, fiery orange gorget, and tail feathers that flick like attitude in motion, the coquette doesn't fly. It performs. Every move is a show. It hovers, zips, spins, and pauses midair just long enough to make sure you saw that last trick. If hummingbirds were social media influencers, this one would post every 5 seconds and somehow never be annoying. You'll find the black-crested coquette in Nicaragua's lush lowlands and foothills, flashing through flowering trees like a living spark. Its favorite nectar sources? The brightest, most crowded blooms? Because why be subtle when you can be center stage? Here's a fun fact. Male coquettes use that wild crest during aerial courtship duels, flying in tight spirals, showing off like tiny fighter jets in a dogfight over romance. Scientists have recorded them defending a single flower patch for hours, buzzing furiously while still managing to look fabulous. Their wings beat up to 80 times per second, which means if humans had to move that fast, we'd spontaneously combust before breakfast. And yet this bird does it with a grin, or at least it looks like one. So what do you think? Is the black-crested coquette nature's tiniest show-off, or its most stylish overachiever? Because whatever it is, it proves you don't need size to steal the spotlight. Just good hair and unstoppable confidence. The black-crested coquette. If the rainforest was a disco, the cinnamon teal would be the one bird who shows up late, wearing the wrong color, and still steals the show. In a world of green and blue, this duck said, "Nah, I'll go full cinnamon." Rich, glowing red-brown plumage, black bill, ruby eyes, like a latte that came to life and decided to fly south. You'll find these stunners gliding across Nicaragua's volcanic lakes and wetlands, smooth as silk, head low, eyes scanning. They don't dive dramatically or scream for attention. They just slide by, like the bird version of someone who knows they're attractive, but doesn't talk about it. Here's a fun fact. Cinnamon teals are picky travelers. They breed in North America, then migrate all the way to Central America, sometimes even farther south, but always return to the same pond year after year. Imagine remembering your favorite restaurant across an entire continent. Males are the showpieces. That deep rust color is pure dominance in feather form. Females, meanwhile, wear camo browns, doing all the hard work of nesting while he's out there being photogenic. Classic relationship dynamic, right? And when the light hits the water just right, the male's plumage glows like molten copper, a slow burn in the blue reflection of a crater lake. If Nicaragua had sunsets made of feathers, this would be it. They feed mostly by dabbling, spinning in little circles, filtering seeds and tiny insects through their bills, making ripples that look almost like calligraphy on water. So what do you think? The cinnamon teal, Nicaragua's quiet beauty, or just the world's most elegant coffee-colored duck? Because either way, it proves one thing. You don't have to shout to be unforgettable. The cinnamon teal, warm, graceful, and perfectly out of place, like a sunset drifting through a storm. And in a land of volcanoes and fire, what could be more fitting than a bird dressed in flames? If the cinnamon teal is the smooth jazz of the wetlands, then the blue-winged teal is the indie rock band. Smaller, louder, faster, and somehow always late to migration season. This little duck is built for motion. Sleek gray body, crisp white crescent by the bill, and those signature powder blue patches on its wings that flash like neon signs every time it takes off. It doesn't just fly, it explodes out of the water. You'll spot them skimming across Nicaragua's crater lakes and lagoons, usually in groups that look like a synchronized stunt team. They twist, turn, and drop so sharply you'd think they rehearsed it. But nope, that's just instinct and caffeine-level energy. Here's a fun fact. The blue-winged teal migrates farther than almost any other North American duck, some flying over 7,000 miles between Canada and Central America every year. They travel thousands of miles just to chill in Nicaragua for the winter. Can't blame them. Volcano views beat snow any day. Their feeding habits? Efficient chaos. They dabble, dive, spin, and shovel through shallow water with a level of coordination that feels unfair. 1 minute they're calm, the next, splash, flash, gone. If ducks had personality types, this one's pure extrovert. But what's crazy is how small they are. Barely a pound of feathers and adrenaline. And yet they cross oceans of wind and weather, dodging storms, hunters, and exhaustion, just to return next year. Every flight is a gamble they keep winning. So what do you think? The blue-winged teal, a feathered daredevil, or just the world's smallest thrill-seeker with wings? Because while bigger birds make headlines, this one proves endurance can look stylish too. The blue-winged teal, tiny, tireless, and always ready for takeoff. A reminder that adventure isn't about size. It's about how far you're willing to fly for a better view. If Grace had feathers, it would look like this. The northern pintail isn't trying to impress anyone. It just exists beautifully, like a model that woke up perfect and said, "Yeah, this is my natural look." Long neck, chocolate brown head, and that tail, long, sharp, perfectly pointed. It's the avian equivalent of wearing a tuxedo in a swamp. While other ducks paddle around like they're late for something, the pintail glides, smooth, effortless, as if the lake itself is lucky to hold its reflection. You'll see them drifting across Nicaragua's lakes during migration, usually in elegant groups, their mirrored shapes slicing the water in slow motion. They don't shout, they don't splash, they just redefine calm. Here's a fun fact. Pintails are among the fastest flying ducks in the world, reaching speeds of 65 miles per hour, which means that tranquil look? Totally deceptive. They're basically sports cars disguised as poetry. And unlike most ducks, they feed mostly by tipping forward, stretching those long necks deep underwater like synchronized divers, tails straight up in the air. An accidental comedy act that still somehow looks elegant. Their migration routes are mind-blowing too. Many pintails travel from Alaska all the way down to Central America, a journey of over 5,000 miles, and yet they arrive looking like they just stepped off a spa retreat. So what do you think? Is the northern pintail the supermodel of the wetlands, or just proof that confidence is the best camouflage? Because no matter what, this bird makes serenity look stylish. In a world full of noise, the pintail is quiet excellence. No drama, no headlines, just flawless execution. Even when the wind gets rough, it glides straight through like it's posing for a painting. The northern pinetail, elegant, disciplined, untouchably cool. Proof that sometimes the calmest presence in the storm is the one that already knows it can outfly it. If the northern pintail is the elegant swan of the lake, then the American wigeon is the loud neighbor who shows up to the party and somehow makes everyone laugh anyway. This duck is a walking contradiction, half comedian, half charmer, with that shiny green eye patch on a pinkish head and a white forehead that looks suspiciously like a bad haircut gone right. You can spot it from a mile away. It's the bird that looks permanently surprised. Wigeons are social butterflies, or, well, social ducks. You'll find them in flocks, chattering, squabbling, and occasionally stealing food from other ducks mid-bite. That's right. They don't just forage, they freeload. They wait for another species to pull up aquatic plants and then rush in to snatch a few bites. It's lazy, hilarious, and wildly effective. Here's a fun fact. The American wigeon's call sounds exactly like a squeaky toy. High-pitched, short, and impossible to take seriously. You can hear it echoing over the lakes of Nicaragua as if the entire wetland were laughing at itself. During migration, they cover thousands of miles from North America to Central America, arriving in Nicaragua's volcanic lakes like tourists who overpacked but don't regret it. And despite all that chaos, they're beautiful flyers. Fast, tight-formed, moving in shimmering waves of motion that catch the sun like liquid glass. They feed on grass, algae, and anything they can borrow, steal, or sneak, earning them the nickname, the grazing duck. And really, can you blame them? Work smarter, not harder. So what do you think? The American wigeon, clever strategist, or just the class clown of the bird world who got lucky with the lighting? Because whether it's stealing snacks or stealing hearts, this bird knows how to make an impression. The American wigeon, funny, fearless, and fashionably confused. Proof that even in nature's grand design, there's always room for a good laugh and a really squeaky voice. Ah yes, the mallard, the bird you've seen in 1,000 parks, 100 ponds, and at least one awkward family picnic. But here's the twist. This so-called ordinary duck isn't just another face in the crowd. It's one of the greatest survival stories in bird history. Green head that gleams like polished glass, chestnut chest, yellow bill. It's the duck that every other duck secretly copies. In fact, over 90% of domestic ducks worldwide descend from this one species. Basically, if ducks had royalty, the mallard would be the founding dynasty. And guess what? Even down here in Nicaragua, thousands of miles from your neighborhood pond, mallards still show up, cool as ever, floating between volcanoes like they own the place. Their adaptability is insane. City fountains, mountain lakes, stormwater ditches. If there's water, they'll move in. They're the ultimate survivors, equal parts elegance and I can live anywhere energy. Here's a fun fact. Mallards can sleep with one eye open. Literally, half their brain rests while the other half stays alert for danger. Try that at your next work meeting. They're strong flyers too, reaching speeds of over 60 miles per hour, yet they somehow manage to make flying look like lazy drifting. And when they land, pure comedy. That little feet-first water skid never gets old. Mallards are also surprisingly romantic. Pairs form long before migration, and some even stay together for life. So yes, the world's most common duck might just be a better partner than most people. So what do you think? Are mallards the boring background extras of the bird world, or the unsung heroes holding the duck dynasty together? Because let's face it, without them, half the wetlands would feel empty. The mallard, ordinary at first glance, extraordinary upon closer look. Proof that being everywhere doesn't mean you stop being special, you just become unforgettable. Ah yes, the mallard, the bird you've seen in 1,000 parks, 100 ponds, and at least one awkward family picnic. But here's the twist. This so-called ordinary duck isn't just another face in the crowd. It's one of the greatest survival stories in bird history. Green head that gleams like polished glass, chestnut chest, yellow bill. It's the duck that every other duck secretly copies. In fact, over 90% of domestic ducks worldwide descend from this one species. Basically, if ducks had royalty, the mallard would be the founding dynasty. And guess what? Even down here in Nicaragua, thousands of miles from your neighborhood pond, mallards still show up, cool as ever, floating between volcanoes like they own the place. Their adaptability is insane. City fountains, mountain lakes, stormwater ditches. If there's water, they'll move in. They're the ultimate survivors, equal parts elegance and I can live anywhere energy. Here's a fun fact. Mallards can sleep with one eye open. Literally, half their brain rests while the other half stays alert for danger. Try that at your next work meeting. They're strong flyers too, reaching speeds of over 60 miles per hour, yet they somehow manage to make flying look like lazy drifting. And when they land, pure comedy. That little feet-first water skid never gets old. Mallards are also surprisingly romantic. Pairs form long before migration, and some even stay together for life. So yes, the world's most common duck might just be a better partner than most people. So what do you think? Are mallards the boring background extras of the bird world, or the unsung heroes holding the duck dynasty together? Because let's face it, without them, half the wetlands would feel empty. The mallard, ordinary at first glance, extraordinary upon closer look. Proof that being everywhere doesn't mean you stop being special, you just become unforgettable. If there's one bird that knows how to keep life simple, it's this little cinnamon-colored wanderer, the ruddy ground dove. While eagles rule the skies and herons own the lakes, this one's perfectly happy just walking around like it misplaced its wings. You'll see them everywhere in Nicaragua. Country roads, backyards, cafe patios, even bus stations. They don't need pristine jungles or fancy wetlands. A patch of dirt and a few crumbs will do. They're the ultimate minimalists of the bird world. Proof that you don't need altitude to have attitude. Soft chestnut plumage, pinkish tones, tiny frame. They look delicate, almost fragile, until you watch one chase another off the ground like a tiny feathered bouncer. They're surprisingly territorial, and they'll puff up, flap, and squeak until someone backs off. Here's a fun fact. Ruddy ground doves can raise up to 6 broods a year. That's right. While other birds are stressing over one set of chicks, these overachievers are already redecorating for the next round. Romance, efficient, parenting, non-stop. Their cooing is soft and rhythmic, a warm, rolling coo-rrr, coo-rrr that blends perfectly with the hum of rural Nicaragua. Bicycles creaking, dogs barking, roosters complaining. It's the soundtrack of everyday life here. And they're not shy either. Sit still long enough with a sandwich, and one might stroll right up to your feet. Not flying, just walking, like it's your uninvited lunch date. So what do you think, the ruddy ground dove? Humble and sweet, or the tiny hustler who's secretly running every courtyard in Central America? Because while bigger birds chase glory, this one's quietly thriving in plain sight. The ruddy ground dove, a reminder that you don't need wings to rise, just a good walk, a little courage, and a place that feels like home. If the ruddy ground dove was the friendly neighbor, then the Inca dove is the quiet artist who lives down the street. Soft-spoken, elegant, and somehow always glowing in the afternoon light. You might not notice it at first, its feathers look plain beige from afar, but get closer and you'll see the pattern. Tiny overlapping scales that shimmer like old temple tiles. It's the kind of detail you only appreciate when you actually slow down long enough to look. Found across Nicaragua's towns and dry valleys, Inca doves are masters of subtle beauty. They don't sing loudly or move fast. They glide low, land gently, and coo in that soft, rolling tone that sounds less like a call and more like a sigh. Here's a fun fact. Inca doves are famous for their huddles. When the night gets cold, they line up side by side, 10, 20 birds in a row, fluffing their feathers and sharing warmth. No fighting, no drama, just teamwork. It's like the avian version of a family blanket fort. They build their nests low and flimsy, sometimes on fences, sometimes on vines, yet somehow they always hold. It's almost philosophical. Fragile things can still last. And despite their delicate looks, Inca doves are tough survivors. They thrive in heat, dust, cities. Wherever life finds a crack, they take it. So what do you think? The Inca dove, plain and peaceful, or secretly the wisest bird in the barrio? Because in a world obsessed with flash, this one wins with calm. No bright colors, no dramatic flight, just a gentle reminder that quiet doesn't mean weak and beauty doesn't have to shout. The Inca dove, warmth, patience, and poetry wrapped in feathers. A soft heartbeat under Nicaragua's golden light, teaching us that sometimes stillness is the most beautiful movement of all. If peace had feathers, it might look exactly like this. The white-tipped dove isn't trying to impress you. It's just quietly walking through a beam of sunlight, making the whole forest look softer. Soft gray plumage, rosy chest, and those elegant white edges on the tail and wings that flash only when it flies. Like nature's version of a hidden signature. It's not loud, not fast, not flashy, and yet it completely owns the silence. You'll find it deep in Nicaragua's volcanic woodlands, pacing slowly across the forest floor, one careful step at a time. It doesn't rush, because it doesn't need to. Everything about this bird says, "I've already figured life out, thanks." Here's a fun fact. White-tipped doves have an incredible sense of rhythm. Their soft, hollow hoo-oo-hoo call echoes through the forest in perfect time with their wing beats. A sound so steady it's been compared to a monk's chant. It's peaceful, grounding, and somehow feels like the jungle's own heartbeat. They're loners by nature, rarely flocking, rarely panicking. If danger comes, they don't scream. They simply rise in one smooth motion, flashing that white trim like a goodbye wave. Then they vanish into green, and yet their presence changes the whole mood of the forest. Wherever they walk, the air feels calmer, like the earth itself exhales. So what do you think? The white-tipped dove, just another quiet bird, or the hidden soul of Nicaragua's forests? Because while other species chase color and noise, this one found something better: stillness. The white-tipped dove, soft-spoken, steady, and infinitely patient. Proof that beauty doesn't always shout from the sky. Sometimes it just walks beside you, leaving peace in its wake. And there you have it. 15 of Nicaragua's most colorful, strange, and spectacular wings. From the thunder of the harpy eagle to the whisper of the white-tipped dove, from the sky dancers above the volcanoes to the tiny jewels humming through the forest. This country doesn't just have birds, it breathes them. Between fire and forest, Nicaragua is a place where opposites live in perfect rhythm. Volcano smoke meets rainforest rain. Power meets grace. Predators and pollinators, chaos and calm. All of it tangled into one living heartbeat that never stops singing. The harpy eagle reminded us what power looks like. The swallow-tailed kite taught us that beauty can fly without sound. The hummingbirds, tiny, furious miracles, showed us that color is just another kind of courage. And the doves? They proved that peace still walks quietly through the ashes. Here's a fun fact to leave you thinking. Nicaragua is home to over 700 bird species, making it one of the most diverse avian countries on Earth. A crossroads where northern and southern worlds collide. Every feather here tells part of that story. But here's the question. What does that story mean for us? In a world that burns and rebuilds itself every day, maybe Nicaragua's birds are a reminder. Beauty survives because of change, not despite it. So, which one spoke to you? The unstoppable harpy, the glowing mango, the calm dove, or maybe that wild little coquette who lives life one wing beat away from chaos? Drop your favorite in the comments. And maybe tell us what your skies look like today. Because the birds of Nicaragua don't just live in the forest, they live in the idea that every sunrise deserves to be loud, bright, and a little unpredictable. The wild wings of Nicaragua, where fire meets feather and the sky never learned how to sit still.